welcome everyone to the LitCom podcast with your host and author, Shantae, aka Nefer Watson. Today we have the amazing and talented poet, Nigel. Give him a round of applause or snaps. So Nigel, I'm so happy to have you and thank you so much for giving us some time today. I did read through your poetry. It's amazing. So let's start with what inspired you to write poetry.
Oh man, that's a great question, Shantae. And let me say thank you for bringing me on. It's a pleasure. It's always an honor to be able to talk about my journey as a poet and how I started writing this book. And so, long story short, I started writing poetry when I was in elementary school. There was
Oh,
this
wow.
girl I liked, and I was like, I had to be in like second grade, and when I saw her, I was like, man, I think girls like poetry. So I had my mom help me to write a poem, and I gave it to her, and I had to do it on a sneak tip, right? And obviously nothing worked out from it, but that was like the first time I ever wrote poetry, because I was like, man, I really want to give it to somebody as a gift. And
Mm,
then fast forward to high school, I dealt with a lot of like just issues in life, being black and dealt with some mental health issues with depression and anxiety. And I felt like poetry was one of my outlets for that.
mm,
Poetry was a big outlet when it came to my anger and my sadness. And so I used that to kind of fuel my poetry. So it was that, and then fast forward to college, I was in my undergrad, and I said, man, I really want to publish a book of poems. And so I started actually with KDP, which is Amazon's publishing company, and I tried to do it self-publish. And it didn't work out. I didn't have the right measurements for a book cover and all of that stuff. And so I kind of chopped that down.
mm,
Fast forward to 2020, we get into a pandemic, everything
mm.
gets shut down. And that same summer of 2020, we saw George Floyd get killed. We saw Ahmaud Arbery get killed. We saw Breonna Taylor get killed.
Yeah.
Um, and then I rededicated my life to Jesus. Like I started becoming an actual follower of Jesus. And so when you read my poetry, you can definitely tell there's Christian themes. Like I really became a follower of Jesus during this time. And so it was then that once I rededicated my life, I became inspired again. Like I was angry over the way that our world was. I was angry with the way Black folks were treated. But I was inspired to write and share my truths, right, with other people. Because I wanted people to know, especially people like us, that you're not alone in how you're feeling. You're not
Yeah.
alone in your anger. You're not alone in depression. You're not alone when you feel alone. Like there's
Yeah.
more people out there that experience these feelings that you feel. So that's what's inspired me to write this book and to write poetry.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. The world definitely did stop in 2020 and it gave the world to see, it gave the world an opportunity to see the things that we see every day, you know?
Mhm.
And that's a inspirational story. Poetry is definitely cathartic. Um, it's awesome that you channeled that energy into poetry. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Um,
thank you.
yeah, my pleasure. So what I would like for you to do is read one of your favorite poems. I know it's hard to, they're all like your babies, so I know it's hard for you to decide. I'm gonna tell you my favorite was her. You already know I'm gonna say that. That
Yeah,
was,
cool, cool, cool.
I thought you were gonna talk about the stars in general, but then how you use it metaphorically to talk
Mhm.
about the stars, basically the beauty in a woman's eyes. That was beautiful. So when you
Like,
read your favorite and then read that one for everyone.
all right, so I had a feeling you were going to say that. So my favorite poems that I wrote was a poem about Derek Chauvin. It's the officer that killed George Floyd,
Mm.
and it's a little long, but I love it. It's one of my favorites. That was probably one of the first poems I wrote in 2020, and I'm just like when I saw it on the news, it's like his knee being on my guy's neck, and then like finding out that he also had COVID as well. So like this man
Oh,
was getting killed by two diseases, not just one.
Oh, wow.
And for me, that just it broke my heart, but it also inspired me to write too because I was angry.
Yeah.
Um, so it starts like this, and I don't know if you knew this, but the "I don't feel no ways tired" that's supposed to be sung. So this is here we go. I don't feel no ways tired. Come too far from where I've started from. Derek Chauvin, a boogeyman for all Black boys and girls, an officer who took a knee. Like Kaepernick, he too had a protest, but his protest was our complexion, our magic, Jesus, and our flesh. His protest was to kill what was inside, but can I let you in on a little secret? Mr. Chauvin, you cannot kill what God has created. When one voice dies, another one multiplies. See, our magic is a honeycomb, and our blackness is pollinating the world like bees, bearing flowers and oxygen for future children to breathe. Mr. Chauvin, what were you thinking? Did you believe that you could kill hope? When even slavery produced music and fruit and a search for the savior, Mr. Chauvin, you did not kill hope, you produced it. You reminded me that my hope is not in this tent we call the world. My hope is in the loving arms of my Savior, the one whose blood is our hope, the ones whose hands and feet were pierced for our transgression did not lose hope, the one who kept on singing as he went on to Calvary did not lose hope. I imagine Jesus singing this song before it ever came to be, humming it as he carried his cross, singing it on the road he was traveling on and believing that his father would never leave him. Nobody told me that this road would be easy. I don't believe he's brought me this far to leave me. Ta-da, ta-da,
What?
ta-da, ta-da.
Look, I'm trying to mess up my makeup. Oh, goodness. Oh, my goodness. That was amazing.
Thank you,
Wow.
thank you.
Wow. That
So
was
like
incredible.
some of my poems, right? Like you'll read like Hurt, right? That I feel like I've been learning that like some poetry is better read aloud and some poetry is better read on paper. So like that Derek Chauvin one, that was one I consider like spoken word, It's free verse, it has a lot of different, you gotta use a lot of different inflections to carry certain meaning in the words. But a poem like Her that's really short, that's one I love because it's something that I think is better read on the paper than read aloud. I think there's a lot more meaning when you kind of read it for yourself. But Her is read like this: laying in the starry night, looking into her starry eyes, finally feeling the destined bliss, followed by her soft kiss. So, short little poem, but I love it because it's like I said, it's something I think is read aloud and read on paper, and it's something I think that has really powerful meaning behind just, 4 lines.
Mm, mm. That was amazing. Man, I love her. That poem about Derek Chauvin really, wow, that was incredible. Just to tie what we go through as a people into how Jesus views that, you know, and how it affects he has a heart,
Hmm.
and a soul for his people. And I just that was just incredible. I'm sorry, I'm just taken aback by it, but that was really, really amazing.
Thank you.
So do you have any future plans? Do you have any future projects you're working on?
Yeah, I do. So I'm working on another book, and I don't know what I want to title it yet because I was thinking actually about just creating like Truths Volume 2. I was thinking about doing that, or I was thinking about creating kind of like a continuation of Truths. So something with a very like similar meaning behind like a reflection of yourself, kind of having something similar with the book cover, but basically kind of having like a continuation of this book. But yeah, I've been working on some more poetry. This first book I wrote, it was kind of like a collection of the poems I've written in the past plus the present. And now this new book, I want it to be solely poetry I'm writing today. Um, and so hopefully I'll get that published within the next couple of years. You know, it takes time. It takes time and a lot of effort to get another book published, but I also want to go about it a different way. So I definitely want to do more research.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, that's something I'm working on. I want to create another book.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I do have two extra questions, and then I'm gonna let you tell readers how to link up with you and how to purchase your projects. So the first question is, where'd you go to school?
So for high school, I went to a small school. Well, it's not actually small, but it's in a small town called Florence, South Carolina. So I'm a country boy.
Okay.
But the school is called South Florence High School. Uh, and after that, I graduated 2016. Then I went to a school in a even smaller town called Coker College, which later turned to Coker University. And that was in Hartsville, South Carolina. And I got my bachelor's of sociology there. And so now I'm about to be finished with my master's of divinity from a seminary at Mercer University in Georgia, which I'm doing online. And so yeah, I'll be finishing my Master of Divinity and fingers crossed, maybe I'll get my doctorate in a few years as well. We'll see what happens. I don't know if it's in my budget, but if the Lord will make a way, we will see what happens.
He's the maker of ways out of no way. You know that.
Yeah,
So, congratulations, congratulations. That's
thank you.
amazing. And also, when I was looking at the cover of your book, can
Mhm.
you explain like what the symbolism behind the cover of your book is?
Yeah, of course. So you see like the hand and he's holding a piece of glass and originally in this picture was a person's face right here, but I told the publishing company to kind of take that out because when people read this book, I want them to be able to reflect. I want them to be able to reflect on their own identity, their own purpose, their own feelings with some of these themes that some of these themes that I've brought about in this book. So yeah, so like that's the reason for the book covers. I want people to be able to reflect. I want people when they read it to read something about themselves to say, "Oh my gosh, like I relate to that. Like I'm not by myself. I'm not alone." So that's the reason why I chose this book cover.
Awesome, awesome. You know, with poets, it symbolize symbolism behind everything. So when I looked at it, I was like, I know it's a reason for it. So, but I'm glad I asked. I'm glad I asked.
Yeah. So it's something that I really that's probably the thing I take the most pride in is the actual cover because I swear it was just a God thing because I had no idea what I was gonna do. And then the publishing company talked to me and they were like, here's what we have, here's what we can do, here are some free photos online that we can kind of do some work with. And I was just searching. And I said, man, like I really want people to relate to this book. What conveys that? And so when we found this cover, I was like, oh my gosh, that is perfect.
Awesome, awesome. It's been such a pleasure speaking with you, Nigel. Oh my goodness, we could talk all day. You definitely have to come back whenever you complete your next project.
Sure.
So let the readers know how they can purchase your books and how they can follow you on social media.
Yeah. So my Instagram handle is nigel.poetry. So Nigel period poetry. And then my Facebook, actually I have a Facebook page and there I'm kind of always updating my readers on like the poetry I'm creating. I'm updating my readers on like where I'm doing like what I'm doing when I go to like author expos and stuff like that. And so there it's just Nigel Fulmore-Smith, my whole name, Nigel Fulmore-Smith, author. And so you can find my Facebook page there. And actually, I'll be moving to Pennsylvania in about a week. So if you're in the area, I'm in a small town called Milton. But if you're around the area, definitely come hit me up. I would love to grab lunch with you and talk some more about poetry. And the other thing too is you can buy my book straight from Barnes and Noble, Amazon, Walmart, Target. Just look up Truths by Nigel Fulmore-Smith. Or you can hit me up personally. I would love to give you a signed copy and just ship it directly to your house. So those are yeah, I think those are the ways. Those are pretty much all the ways you can find out more about me and hit me up. Like I said, I'm a nice guy. I just like talking to people. So yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. It has been such a pleasure speaking with you. Everyone, you have to go get Nigel's book, Truth. It is amazing. The poetry is really metaphorical and I love it. It's kind of like it quiets the spirit and it kind of it's centering. It was very centering. Um Nigel, is
Thanks,
there any
Shantae. Thank you.
yes, my pleasure. Is there any last thoughts you want to leave with the reader?
Um, yeah, I mean, the only thoughts I have is man, I think the only thoughts I have is trust God. That's my biggest thing. I think, I had to trust God with this process of creating this. And my biggest thing now is just kind of like sharing the gift I feel like God has given me to others. And so I trust God with his gift for me and for you, Shantae, as well. Trust God with your gift. Um,
Always.
let him use you, sis. Let him
Yes,
use you.
yes.
So yeah, that's my final remarks.
All righty. Well, like I said, it was a pleasure having you. Hang on for me for just 1 second. But thank you so much for everyone for tuning in. I hope you guys have a blessed and highly favored week. Bye.